He was born in the shadows of the empire. No family, no future, not even a name. The guards called him Dust, because that's what he was to them, an orphan raised on scraps and silence, living behind the walls of the great city, where no one noticed a child unless he stole something. But Dust had one thing most didn't. He watched, he listened, and in the quiet, he learned. He used to sneak into the outer palace gardens, not to steal, but to hear the music from the emperor's court, to glimpse the colors, to taste for a moment what life could be. One day, while hiding behind a pillar, he heard something strange. Let the emperor's game begin. Trumpets blared, and the courtyard filled with 12 children from across the empire, each one the child of a governor, general, or noble. They were not just playing, they were competing, because once every 7 years, the emperor adopted one orphan or commoner child. If they could beat the empire's best in the game of kings, the challenge wasn't of strength or sword, it was of mind. 12 players, 4 trials, puzzles, riddles, morality, deception, and one winner. The prize? To be raised by the emperor himself, to rule one day. It was a tradition older than the empire, a gesture of fairness, they claimed, but no commoner had ever won. The nobles always outplayed, outlearned, outlasted, until Dust. Dust returned every year, watching, listening, memorizing each trial, each riddle. He'd never spoken a word to the emperor, never stepped into the courtyard, until one day, the imperial advisor spotted him. "You've been watching too long, boy. What's your name?" the advisor asked. "I have none," said Dust. "Then why do you stare like you belong here?" the advisor questioned. Dust answered, "Because I know the game better than any of them." The boy was brought before the emperor himself, an old man with a tired gaze cloaked in gold and wisdom. He looked at Dust and asked, "Do you believe you can win my game, nameless child?" Dust said, "I don't just believe it. I've already solved half the puzzles, from the shadows." The court laughed. The emperor did not. "Then let him enter. Let's see if the streets taught what palaces could not," he said. And so, for the first time in history, an orphan with no name entered the game of kings. The other players mocked him and said, "He smells like the alleys. He can't even read. He'll be gone by morning." But Dust said nothing, because silence had taught him more than words ever could. 12 players were locked in a room. No doors, no windows, no way out. A scroll on the table which read, "This room has no door, yet one of you will leave." Most panicked. Some searched the walls. Dust sat. He noticed the ceiling, an opening, invisible unless the light hit it just right. While the others argued, he stacked books, climbed, and whispered. Some doors open when others stop yelling. He was the first to leave. The emperor smiled. Each child was told a different secret. Only one was true. They had to decide which secret to protect, even if it meant betraying the others. The children lied, schemed, turned on each other. But Dust stayed quiet. He observed who hesitated, who looked guilty, who looked too confident. And when the time came, he spoke the truth none had noticed. The real secret wasn't in the scrolls, it was in your eyes. And again, he passed. Each child was starving, given only a piece of bread and a sharp blade. The test was unclear. Some hoarded, some stole. One stabbed another. But Dust broke his bread and offered it to the weakest. "Why?" the emperor asked. "Because if we're kings but can't feed others, we've already failed," Dust answered. That night he didn't just win the trial. He won hearts. The last test. A room with one mirror. Each child entered alone. Inside, they were asked, "Who are you?" Most boasted titles, some wept. Dust stood before the mirror and said, "I am no one, which means I can become anyone." The mirror shattered. The door opened. The emperor stood waiting. "What do you want, child?" the emperor asked. "A name, not to wear but to earn." Dust answered. "Then choose it," the king said. "Call me Samir. It means listener, because that's all I ever was, until now," he whispered. And so, the orphan who had nothing, not even a name, became the emperor's ward. He did not rule with iron, he ruled with understanding, because he knew what it meant to be unseen, to hunger, to hurt quietly. And years later, when the emperor passed, it wasn't the richest nor the noblest, but the quiet boy from the alley, the one who listened, learned, and led, who wore the crown. And when asked how he had won the game of kings, he answered simply, "Because while others played to win, I played to understand." And remember, you may be born with nothing, but if you listen, learn, and stay patient, one day the world will ask you not just your name, but how you earned it. If this story stirred something in you, pass it on to someone who's still waiting for their name to be heard.